It must be my fault. What domestic abuse does to our heads. You may think that what is happening to you must be your fault, because rational human beings don't hurt the person they promise to love. So you must be doing something to raise such a response from your partner. Wrong. Stop thinking that way. Your partner is treating you this way because of a problem he or she has in his or her head, and it is not because of anything you do or don't do. But the fact is that when we are physically or mentally abused, or both, our thinking becomes distorted. We may think that we must be doing something wrong to make our partner so angry and mean. So we try to change our behavior. In other words, we are trying to fix the abuse. He hates our cooking. We try to learn to cook better. Maybe take a cooking class. He complains that the house isn't neat enough. We clean incessantly, but it is never good enough. Kids too noisy? We try to keep them quiet when Daddy's home. He calls us stupid. We try to learn things, but the abuse continues, and we begin to believe that we are stupid. He is doing a number on our heads. He says we're getting fat. We diet. He doesn't like how we dress or do our hair. We change these things. And nothing works, because it is not us. It is he who needs to change. We may then deny the abuse to ourselves and to others. We do this by avoidant thinking. Our strongest form of protection is denial, since our reality is too painful to accept. Minimizing and denying the full impact of his mistreatment protects us from emotional breakdown, but it is a false sense of security. Or we may minimize. As the abuser erodes our self-trust, we begin to accept his version of the abuse, that it didn't happen, or that it was our fault, or that it wasn't so bad. Or we may make up excuses. We start to believe our partner's excuses for abusing, his difficult past, immaturity, stress, and the list is long. We may rationalize the abuse. At this stage, we may come to a certain acceptance and or resignation to our situation. We may not yet be naming our reality as one of being caught in a violent partnership, but by this time we may have recognized the patterns of his abuse. We may have become absorbed with trying to follow his inner world in order to understand what is going on and why. We are still thinking that we can fix it, if only we could understand it and find the key to his behavior. We may then try silent strategies, because nothing we have done to this point seems to change anything. These strategies may be keeping the peace by doing anything he asks so as to avoid a blow-up. We may create the illusion of an abuse-free life, particularly to the outside world. We may embark on house renovations or other projects that take our attention away from our painful reality. We may volunteer or take a new job, if he allows us to. It is a form of mental escape. And what happens? We are caught in fragmented thinking, known as cognitive dissonance. By accepting something that is totally unacceptable, there is a rift in our minds, the conflict between the reality of the abuse and our attempt to deny that it is happening to us. We are trying to live two realities, often the two parts of our partner's actions, kind and loving at times, and mean and abusive, depending on the day. Cognitive dissonance then occurs, which is the mental clash between our real-world reality and what we have tried to convince ourselves of with denial. The only way to fit this inside of our heads is to literally change how we perceive reality. At this point, we might declare we have a loving marriage while we are actually being abused. Our thinking process has stepped out of reality. We may become numb emotionally because it is all too much. If we do not seek help and leave the abusive relationship, we experience not only distortion in our thinking, but we may suffer long-term health effects and damage to our brains. What are these effects of abuse on our thinking? Confusion. I can't plan, can't think in a straight line. Fear. I'm afraid that I will say or do something that will set off the next explosion. Hopelessness. I'm thinking that I will never get out of this pain and things will never get better. Shame. I am ashamed of myself for getting into this relationship in the first place, or I am so ashamed of his behavior that I will never invite anyone over to our home. Feeling unworthy. I think that he treats me like I deserve. Inability to trust. I can't trust any man. They will all hurt me. Unmotivated. I'm just too tired to do the dishes. He will be so angry. Depression. I can't get out of bed today. Where's that bag of potato chips? Why can't I stop crying? Questioning and doubting spiritual faith. If God loved me, he would get me out of this situation. Where is God when I need him? Difficulty concentrating. I added those figures 3 times and got 3 different answers. Difficulty making decisions. I don't know if I should go to that meeting. Should I or shouldn't I? Even the small decisions are hard to make, let alone deciding to leave him or not. Inability to perform multiple tasks. I used to be able to pack a lunch, dress the kids, and talk on the phone all at once. Now I forget the lunch and can't find any matching socks. Moodiness. I cry at the drop of a hat, and some days I just want to punch that wall. Guilt. What am I doing to my children? Why did I marry that man? It's all my fault. Some physical effects of abuse. Muscle tension, creating a headache. Nightmares, you can't sleep properly. Racing heartbeat, you need to see the doctor about that one. Aches and pains, with no obvious explanation why that would be so. Insomnia, you can't sleep, so you want sleeping pills, which can become a problem. Social withdrawal, you can't see anyone when you are feeling this way. You may go to the doctor with some of these symptoms, but instead of telling your doctor what is really going on, you just say that you are having stress at work or the kids are stressing you. Other effects can include shutting people out, not wanting to do things you once enjoyed, not being able to trust others, and having low self-esteem. Many women who have experienced violence cope with this trauma by using drugs, drinking, smoking, or overeating. Substance use may make you feel better in the moment, but it ends up making you feel worse in the long term. Drugs, alcohol, tobacco, or overeating will not help you forget or overcome the experience. There is help if you're thinking about or have been using alcohol or drugs to cope. Long-term possible damage to our brains. Without help, we experience not only distortion in our thinking, but we may suffer long-term health effects and damage our brains. What are these mental health effects? Number 1, post-traumatic stress disorder. This can be a result of experiencing trauma or having a shocking or scary experience, such as sexual assault or physical abuse. You may be easily startled, feel tense or on edge, have difficulty sleeping, or have angry outbursts. You may also have trouble remembering things, or have negative thoughts about yourself or others. If you think you have PTSD, talk to a mental health professional. Number 2, depression. Depression is a serious illness, but you can get help to feel better. If you are feeling depressed, reach out to a counselor. Number 3, anxiety and panic attacks. This can be general anxiety about everything, or it can be a sudden attack of intense fear. Anxiety can get worse over time and interfere with your daily life. If you are experiencing anxiety, you need help from a mental health professional. So while all of this is going on, what exactly is happening to the brain itself? Of course, we recognize that any physical injury to the brain through physical attacks can lead to a concussion with long-term brain damage. But what if your brain hasn't been physically injured? Damage still occurs and your brain changes. 100 billion neurons make up our brains. For individuals who continually experience traumatic events, this means the brain can rewire itself in such a way that sometimes causes us to feel overly stressed, even when there's nothing serious to stress about. This is serious business. Let's look at a brain scan, an fMRI, that shows the difference between a stressed brain and a normal brain. The portions of the brain that are functioning are the parts that are lit up on the scans. So a stressed brain is working at pretty much a quarter the capacity according to the scan. Something to think about. But there is hope. New neural connections can be created and healing coping mechanisms can be learned. The brain can heal itself through various ways, like counseling. A counselor can guide you and support you through difficult times. Meditation can help, and there are several different types of meditation to choose from. Having someone to talk to that you trust is very helpful. Don't be afraid to reach out to someone that cares about you. Doing something that you love can put you in a different, gentler space. Doing something like art or music, listening to or learning a new instrument. Exercise is very important to work out all that cortisol that is building up in your body when you are stressed. But here's the thing. In order to heal, the origin of the stress must be addressed. You must feel safe where you are for the healing to begin. Here are some steps you need to take to heal your brain. Number 1, recognize how the abuse has impacted your thinking. Number 2, understand what the abuse is doing to your brain. Number 3, reach out for help and support. Number 4, you will begin to heal. The best is yet to come. If you need help, write this down or take a screenshot. Call 911 if you or someone you know is in immediate danger. Family violence is a crime. The Family Violence Information Line is 310-1818, 24-hour service in Alberta. For online confidential chats, www.alberta.ca/family-violence-supports, #TOC-0. Or call 211. In Alberta, it is free. Any issue, any time of day. When you don't know who to call, contact 211 by phone, text, or live chat. For more resources, www.shalomcounseling.com. If you need help, please reach out to one of the numbers listed above. Help and hope are at hand.